At just 20 years old, Alexander became king of Macedonia. By 30, he would conquer the known world. But before the legend of Alexander the Great began, there was a teenager, ambitious, brilliant, and ruthless, who seized power in Greece. This is the story of how a boy became the world's greatest conqueror.
You're watching MindForge History, where the greatest stories of the past are brought to life. Alexander was born in 356 BCE in the city of Pella, capital of Macedonia. His father, King Philip II, was a warrior who had transformed Macedonia from a weak kingdom into the strongest military power in Greece. His mother, Olympias, was equally formidable, passionate, ambitious, and fiercely protective of her son. From birth, Alexander was told he was destined for greatness. Olympias claimed their family descended from Achilles himself. She whispered to her child that his bloodline was touched by the gods. At 13, Alexander gained a teacher who would shape his mind, the philosopher Aristotle. Under his guidance, he studied science, politics, medicine, and philosophy. But Aristotle also instilled something deeper, the belief that Alexander had a divine mission to rule.
In 340 BCE, Philip marched to war, leaving his 16-year-old son to rule Macedonia in his absence. For most princes, this would have been ceremonial. But fate gave Alexander his first true test. A northern tribe rebelled, believing a boy could not lead. Alexander proved them wrong. He raised an army, marched to the rebellion, and crushed it with ruthless efficiency. In victory, he founded a new city on the site, naming it Alexandropolis, after himself. The message was clear. Alexander was not content to wait for history. He was determined to write it.
2 years later came the moment that made Alexander a true warrior. In 338 BCE, the great city-states of Athens and Thebes rose against Macedon. The decisive clash came at Chaeronea. On one side stood the united Greek armies, proud, disciplined, and determined. On the other, King Philip commanded his seasoned phalanx. But one crucial part of the army, the cavalry, was entrusted to Alexander, now just 18. As the battle raged, the Greeks fought fiercely, pushing against Philip's lines. Then, at the critical moment, Alexander struck. Leading the cavalry with fearless speed, he charged directly into the enemy flank. Macedonian spears smashed into Greek shields, hoplites scattered under the weight of the assault. The charge broke the enemy line. The Greek alliance collapsed. Macedonia had triumphed, and Alexander had proven himself a commander worthy of legend.
The victory at Chaeronea cemented Alexander's reputation. Soldiers adored him, generals respected him. Even his enemies could not deny his brilliance. But at home, things were more complicated. King Philip was proud of his son's achievements, but also uneasy. Alexander was more than just a prince. He was winning the kind of glory that could overshadow his father. Some whispered that father and son were drifting apart. Both were ambitious, both were brilliant, and both were destined to rule. Only time would reveal which man would truly shape Macedonia's future. By the age of 18, Alexander had crushed rebellions, founded cities, and led armies to victory. He was no longer just the son of a king.
He was already a legend in the making. But destiny had far greater plans. Soon, Philip would be dead. Alexander would be king, and the young conqueror would turn his gaze eastward toward the vast Persian Empire. This was only the beginning of the rise of Alexander the Great.
Thanks for watching MindForge History. Don't forget to subscribe and continue the story in the next episode.